Keep that energy, dog.
The music.
I feel so seen right now.
This was a very predictable
So
outcome.
hey. Condolences to Stephen A. for his Yankees. Stephen A., you're not alone. I'm right there with you, the entire Acosta-Ruiz family as well. We're hurting. It's tough times.
Yankee fan?
Big Yankees fan.
Yeah.
You guys
It
have
hurt.
won enough.
It's a deep pain,
Y'all
Stephen
have
A.
won a lot.
Yeah, please.
It's been 16 years.
MJ, before I speak and I get into it, let me just say, Dan Orlovsky, phenomenal NFL analyst. RC, my brother, and Mina, the wonderful Mina Kimes. I want America to know that on a day that I could use sympathy, First Take to show you how the Benedict Arnolds that are my producers, the First Take producers bring those three. Nobody's more critical of me than those three. And those are the three people that I'm doing today's show with on a day like today. So MJ, cheer me up, please. Cheer me up by saying good morning to all of my Hispanic brothers and sisters out there. Could you drop a little Spanish? Cheer me up a little. Could you do that?
Look, one thing we're going to do, the Latino community, we're coming together. We'll still have a party, even if the Yankees lost.
Dominican, no.
He might be.
With that
He
great-
might be
with
my
that
long-lost
great
cousin.
goatee,
We don't
yeah.
even know.
Well, Stephen A.,
don't
we have
even
this for you. Kwaku, if you want to play it, we do have this for you, Stephen
Oh,
A.
God,
if you
there's
want.
more?
We do have this.
No, they don't have
Yeah,
it.
we have
No, we don't.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
No, Kwaku?
No, I have.
Got anything for Stephen
Later.
A.?
You don't have.
Oh.
We have that.
There
we
it
that.
goes.
With that in mind, we do have a lot to get to on today's show. I'm MJ Acosta-Ruiz, a full cast of thousands today, but what a squad. Mina Kimes, of course, Ryan Clark, Dan Orlovsky, and Stephen A. holding it down. Let's turn to the NFL, because when the Browns decided to trade Joe Flacco to the Bengals, most assumed that it would clear the path for Shedeur Sanders to be the team's backup QB moving forward. But nope, head coach Kevin Stefanski was not ready to make that commitment to the rookie, and he remains undecided between Shedeur and practice squad QB Bailey Zappi.
Joe trade took us by surprise. That was not something that we saw coming. You know, they called us, and you know, it happened very fast and happened not too long ago. So still working through all roster type of things. Young players, I'm always thinking about. Last week, making the change to Dylan, you have to think long and hard about that, because these are young players that you're so invested in their development. So I'll let the week play out, make a decision later on that.
Yeah, I imagine that Stefanski has a long list of things he's got to think long and hard about over there with that squad. But this not knowing the backup QB, is that fair or foul, Stephen A., for Stefanski?
I think it's a little foul to me. You know, I'm deferring to three exceptional NFL minds, and I know that. But just giving my opinion, you know, you ever heard of the smell test, that something just don't smell right? Mm-hmm. That's just how I feel. Like, you know, when Joe Flacco got demoted, y'all, I was like, okay, you know, he should be the QB3, because why would you bench him and then leave him as the QB2 when you're elevating Dylan Gabriel to the QB1 and Shedeur Sanders is right there starving and waiting for an opportunity? So I looked at it like that, and I just said to myself, okay, but that's how it goes. You know, Joe Flacco's a veteran. You know, Kevin Stefanski, you know, knows what he's doing as a coach, etc. But then something like this happens. We're supposed to sit here and believe that Bailey Zappi is a guy that's the QB2 on this squad. Really, that's what we're doing now? I just find that to be a bit fishy. And so, you know, Dylan Gabriel obviously is your QB1. He's a guy that has earned the opportunity to do that. Mina pointed out last week accurately so. He had a better performance in the preseason than Shedeur Sanders did. I get that part. Shedeur Sanders played well, albeit against Carolina. Obviously, another game in the preseason, not so much. And I get that part too. And of course, I get the fact that he's practicing with the team every day, so the coach knows. I'm just finding it hard to believe that it's so difficult to name him a QB2, especially when you say you're so invested in the kid's development. Well, Dylan Gabriel, even though he's played far significantly more in college, like 64 games in college over a 6-year period, I get that part. But still in all, I don't like how this feels. I just don't.
Well, one, let's see what he says. Like, let's see once they declare who the number 2 quarterback is going to be, who that actually is. Stephen A., when you say it doesn't smell right, in what regard? That would be my question, because are you saying it doesn't smell right because he's not naming Shedeur, or that he's not naming anybody? I think the second thing is this, like, if he doesn't name it, go ahead.
Okay. No, I thought you was asking me a question. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. I just thought you was asking me a question. My answer to you would simply be this. If you're telling me that how Kevin Stefanski is handling this situation as it pertains to a QB2 or QB3 is normal, I will defer to y'all. I will tell you that it seems to be an aberration more so than a normal situation for me.
I don't find it that abnormal. There's a lot of change going on at that position. There's a lot of change going on in this roster. They just made a trade last night at like 10 o'clock at night. So there seems to be a lot of moving parts with the football team. My overall takeaway is this. I honestly don't think it's that big a deal. We got to give him the opportunity to actually declare who the number 2 is going to be. If it's not Shedeur, do I find that disappointing? Yes. Do I find that odd? Yes. Would I be disappointed from a treetop view and a Shedeur perspective of then why not? You know, why when obviously been made clear that really they're trying to figure out that position for the rest of the season. I agree they're trying to win games, but like that's a focal point. It would be what is going on that Shedeur can't even be essentially the third string quarterback and obviously QB2 with Dylan Gabriel now?
I think if they go with Zappe, Dan, you know this, it's very rare for a rookie quarterback to back up another rookie quarterback. And I actually think that is a valid explanation. It doesn't mean technically that Zappe is more important to the franchise than Shedeur, or they even think he's better in the long term than Shedeur. It means if we're going to Pittsburgh and Dylan Gabriel gets hurt, we want an experienced quarterback to back him up. That is kind of the norm in the NFL. I mean, it's very unusual, and Dan, you know this, for a rookie to back up another rookie. All of that said, I am in agreement with Stephen A. about the sense I'm getting, which is the coaching staff doesn't believe in Shedeur Sanders. And that's their right. I do wonder, though, if organizationally they need to consider a trade or moving on, giving him a chance to end up somewhere else. I felt this way from the beginning when they drafted him. It seemed like an afterthought. It didn't seem to be the best landing place for him. So I wonder, Ryan, if a parting of ways should be in consideration. And I say that, by the way, not judging the Browns for the decision. It's entirely a football move.
Yeah, I think whatever Kevin Stefanski says is fair because it's Kevin Stefanski's team and it's his process. I also think it's extremely obvious that Kevin Stefanski doesn't mess with Shedeur Sanders the way the outside public believes that he should. When you think about this process, it feels that Kevin Stefanski wasn't ready to draft Shedeur Sanders, and then upon drafting him, he didn't put a plan in place to handle the person. You have to understand with Shedeur Sanders is going to come more media attention, more scrutiny. He's going to be treated unlike anything else in that locker room or anything else we see in the league based on his position. He won't be treated like a backup. He won't be treated like a third stringer. He won't be treated like a practice squad guy. You're going to have to answer questions about him, which is why you need answers prepared. If he is still figuring it out, which he should be, which he is, give them a reason why. Give them a Shedeur Sanders reason why. Give them a Bailey Zappe reason why. Don't give them an excuse. And I'm in full agreement with Mina. If he is not named the backup quarterback, it's time to part ways. It's time to trade him. It's time to get him out of your locker room because clearly your plan for development is not to develop Shedeur Sanders as a future starter of your team. And too much comes with him if you don't see that sort of plan for him.
Yeah, I want to take a moment, y'all, to share a somewhat personal experience covering sports, which raises my antennas, especially to you, Dan, because I think I owe you that insight from my perspective. So the year it's the 1996-1997 NBA season, and I think Ryan would vaguely remember this. Kobe Bryant is a rookie in the National Basketball Association. And to the producers, put them up there because I want to see them while I'm talking to them right now. So Kobe Bryant is in his rookie season. And Kobe Bryant is making a lot of noise. He comes out. Jerry West pulls off the heist where Kobe Bryant gets drafted by Charlotte, but ultimately the draft rights to Kobe Bryant comes to the Los Angeles Lakers. He's joining Shaq Diesel and the crew and stuff like that. Kobe Bryant did not start the first 2 years pretty much. He only started like 7 games in the first 2 years of his career in the NBA. This is his rookie year, Dan Orlovsky. But he talked so much and he was so confident, and the swag that he came with is what he came with, that was when the rumors were that Shaq tried to slap the living hell out of him at Loyola Marymount or whatever because he was so disgusted with his mouth, and Kobe was telling you what he was going to be, that he was going to catch MJ, that he was going to be MJ and all of this stuff. Let me tell you what happened. You remember that game when Kobe Bryant shot those air balls against Utah in the postseason? That was his rookie year when Shaq walked over and wrapped his arms around him. One of the reasons that happened, Dan, was because Del Harris, who is a very good man and was a damn good coach, got so annoyed with Kobe's mouth that he said, bump it, and threw him out to the wolves when everybody felt Kobe wasn't ready. And so what happens is Kobe had the intestinal fortitude, the wherewithal to overcome that and ultimately have an illustrious career. But people like myself and others who were covering the NBA were writing about, yo, that's low. Now, of course, that can't be proven. We don't know definitively what was in Del Harris's head. But we had heard so much noise about Kobe, the swag, the bravado, the prognostications, what he was going to do, what he was going to bring to the table, that we said, why would you throw, this is Karl Malone and John Stockton and the Utah Jazz we talking about here. Why are you going to throw him to those wolves in overtime, by the way, of a playoff series as a rookie when you knew he wasn't ready? What I'm saying to you is that all the noise that comes associated with Shedeur Sanders entering the NFL draft and what happened with the NFL draft, then the Deion Sanders angle and stuff like that, people like myself think about things like that when we have that kind of recall and we remember stuff like that happens and what a coach or what a program or what an organization could essentially do to humble you, knowing that you might not be ready. We don't put anything past them. That may not have anything to do with the Cleveland Browns. Certainly not Kevin Stefanski, whose daddy is an NBA executive who I've known for decades, and I got a lot of love for Ed Stefanski. I'm just simply saying that that third eye, that sixth sense, that level of suspicion and skepticism, when you bring up something like Shedeur Sanders, some of us, not all of us, not even most of us, but some of us get suspicious, and we say, what's going on here? Something ain't right. So I appreciate Mina, RC, you and your explanations, and I'm not here to refute it because y'all know better than me. I'm just telling you that when I see stuff like that happening and those storylines unfolding, it makes me suspicious. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think there's any conspiratorial thinking here. Like, I think we're on agreement. This coaching staff is not high on him, right? Like, they're telling us. And for me, I'm actually not judging Stefanski for his decisions and how he's managing this football team. I am judging the Browns organization for drafting two quarterbacks. Frankly, quarterbacks aren't data points. You can't just collect a bunch of them and say, hopefully one of these works out. A locker room, and Dan, you know this really well, is a delicate ecosystem that has to be managed, made even more delicate by the fact that one of those quarterbacks is like the most famous rookie quarterback of all time, practically. Well, I just think that the Browns screwed up in the draft, and now they're paying the consequences.
So I was in Washington, I think year 3 for RG3 and Kirk Cousins. And if you remember, they were drafted in the same year, right? And Kirk Cousins was RG3's backup. And I just remember watching RG3 at practice, and everything he did, Jay Gruden would critique it, and it would get compared to Kirk Cousins. And you're talking about that ecosystem. You're always watching both of these quarterbacks because the team wants to know, this is the guy we're going with. We believe in this guy more. You have that situation in Cleveland, which is only exasperated by who the number 2 or number 3 quarterback is that you're drafting. When they picked Shedeur Sanders, it almost felt like how you pick up a great positional player who's fallen in the draft. Like, we don't need him, but let's grab him because he's here 100%. In the 5th. You can't make that decision at the quarterback position.
Big difference. RG3 was 2nd overall pick.
Yeah, no question.
That makes a huge difference in the dynamic here, too.
I think, you know, in regards to him being the backup quarterback now, I have 2 thoughts on it. One, he's been there since April. They've got a pretty good body of work. So if they are going to not declare him as the number 2 quarterback, I think it speaks loudly to their vantage point of him. One thing that has been in my mind since the season has started that I have found very abnormal, because I think your point of normal of Zappe being a backup is fair. Why has he even been there? Why have they had 4 quarterbacks when the 2 quarterbacks outside of Joe are both young players? both rookies who you would want getting literally as many reps in both practice, scout team, our number 2 reps as humanly possible. Why have they had Bailey Zappi on the roster?
Yes.
Knowing that both those young players needed as many reps as possible. That is something from the start of the season I haven't really wrapped my head around.
The only last point that I will add is this. You know Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, wants to see this brother play. That can't be the reason why you make the decision to play him as an organization. I understand it, but you know they want to see him. But you also look at Cleveland Browns players and you get the impression that they want to see him too. And so that ultimately raises a flag with me as well, because when you're out in the field in every other position, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, you know you got a team that can make some noise. And you're looking for some level of productivity offensively. And if you look at this kid and you feel that he has promise, you know, which I got the impression from a Myles Garrett and others that's what they were wishing for and that's what they were hoping for. That does prompt or provoke some questions as well. Again, you got to trust Stefanski. He's earned it. But Cleveland Browns as an organization hasn't necessarily done so. And Haslam, the owner, if I recall, came out and he was making it be known, this is not my selection. I mean, I hired people to do this. Whereas before that obviously wasn't the case because he was willing to infiltrate the proceedings and the flex and to make decisions for the front office. So all of those things are the kind of things that I think we need to think about as we move forward, you know, really, really probing the Shedeur Sanders situation, because if stuff like this continues to happen, eventually we're going to sit up there and say, hey, the coaches must really think you can't play. Yeah. And ultimately, that's going to be a powerful narrative to overcome.
Yeah, look no further than him being the 144th pick and then being inactive the first 5 games. Development, she's not in the room with us. All right, great start, everyone. But before we take a break, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Clark.
Yeah, so I've never really had much trouble expressing anything. This has been more difficult because I know that people are hurting, right? 2 lives have been lost. Herman Hall, a man who spent his life in service of other, and Kyron Lacy. He's just a young man who I wish I could tell how much he had to live for. My heart absolutely breaks for both of them, their families, and their loved ones. On Monday night's Sports Center, I addressed the horrific car crash that took Mr. Hall's life, and also the subsequent tragic events that led to the death of Kyron Lacy. In full transparency, y'all, I knew Kyron Lacy personally, but nothing matters to me more than the truth. I always strive to do my best to mix authenticity with the most complete and up-to-date information available. I failed to do that on Monday night based on the subsequent evidence that has been released by the Louisiana State Police Department. I set the highest standards of fairness and, most importantly, righteousness in my work. I didn't meet that standard. But since I've spoken to Kyron's representation at length, and I've also reached out to a representative at the state police office just to have a conversation. They informed me this morning that because it's ongoing litigation, they actually can't divulge anything else. It's always important to me that I gather all factual and important information to provide the complete story. That's a responsibility that I do not take lightly. And when discussed in real time on Monday evening, I failed to do so. And for that, I apologize.